In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and send an initial campaign and follow-up sequence in Mailshake. Now, the first thing we need to do is make sure that we've actually saved our outreach worksheet as a CSV file. So in Excel, just go File, Save As, and then select CSV instead of XLS. And there's a similar option in Google Sheets. It's fairly simple. Next, we want to go into Mailshake and then click on the campaigns option here. And then down at the bottom right, there's a purple button, Start a New Campaign. Click that. This is an internal name only, so don't worry too much about it. I'm just going to call it Backpacking Tips for Beginners because that's, well, the name of the article. It's going to make it easier to identify it to me. And the email address here is my default one, mark@campsmartley.com. Hit Next. Now we need to upload our CSV file. So just simply open the file or drag it onto the screen and it will upload. Now what it's going to do is it's going to actually pull all the fields you have in the CSV file. And it's going to then ask you, it's going to suggest rather, which one should be the email and which one should be the name. In our case, because we've named the fields correctly here, it's going to pick it up. Mailshake's quite smart like that, but if you haven't given it a name, you'll have to select the column. So in this case, email, name, all good. The next thing Mailshake will do is it will ask us if we want to remove any generic emails. So this is non-personalized emails, you know, info at, contact at, that kind of thing. A lot of salespeople, B2B salespeople, B2C salespeople use Mailshake, so I think this feature is more kind of for that. In our case, we're simply going to ignore this because we do want to contact these emails as well. And then the next thing that comes up is the list cleaner. This is basically an inbuilt tool within Mailshake which verifies whether an email is likely or not to be delivered. Now, even if you're getting all your emails from Hunter, from a contact page, or even from a Facebook page, it doesn't necessarily mean that all those emails are actually going to work. There are various reasons why emails can no longer work. The address can change, the owner can change, they can stop paying for their G Suite plan, lots and lots of different possibilities there. They could have spelt it wrong. So basically what this does is it runs a kind of check to make sure that it's actually going to go through. Now, you do actually have a similar feature available within hunter.io. However, the version which is in Mailshake is a lot cheaper per credit. It's really important that you actually do this, especially if you have a new account and you're trying to warm it up. You don't want to be hitting any sort of spam filters, and you want to make sure as many of your emails as possible are actually getting delivered. Mailshake will give you 500 credits for free to try this out, so it doesn't cost anything. But when you go over that 500 credits, I think it's about $10 per 5,000 or something. It's really quite affordable. So if you put your card in here, I've already got mine in there. It'll tell you how many free credits you have left, and then you can just hit start cleaning. If you're really tight on budget, you could possibly skip it, but I would not recommend that, especially if you have a new G Suite account that you have not been doing email outreach on before. I'd recommend only taking out the worst offenders, so that's the bad ones. So I'm going to uncheck this risky one here, which is these guys. So we're only taking out the ones which is pretty sure are not going to be delivered. Click the Clean Recipients button and it's going to purge those from your list. Now we can start adding our template in here. So how Mailshake basically works is we put a template in here and then we create some merge fields. So wherever we want to mention the person's name, we'll put a field for that, and then it'll place their name in that field where it's sort of customized to that person. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry, I'm going to show you what that looks like in practice in just a second. Let's start off with the subject line. I'm going to use, can I ask you a quick question? It's tried and tested, generally asking a question, keeping it sort of intrigue based like that works quite well. And I'm going to paste in my template here. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use a sort of standard template. However, make sure to watch the next video after this as well, where I'll show you how to customize templates and create your own templates. Remember, thousands of other people are also watching this course, so if you turn on lazy mode and just copy paste exactly this, it's likely that a bunch of other people are doing that as well, and so you're all going to end up sending the same emails to the same people. It happened with us on Health Ambition when we first released this sort of process in a previous course. A lot of people were using it, and we used to get everyday responses saying, oh, you emailed me with another address before, and people were just getting really confused by it, and it became a lot less effective. So make sure you heavily customize your templates. And again, I'll show you how to do that in the next video, but this is just sort of for demonstration purposes so you can see how it works in practice. So I'll show you how the merge fields work. Let's just remove that and then go insert, and then see we have all the list of columns here from our sheet here. So we can actually pull in any of the data from these columns which we want. In this case, I'm going to go hey first, and then it's also going to let us put in a fallback text. So if there are any lines, for example this one rather, where we have their email but we don't have their name, then it's going to need something else instead. In the past, we've recommended to put something like there. So instead of saying hey Pamela, it would say hey there if the name wasn't available. However, I've actually found that to be slightly less effective in recent months. So what I would suggest instead is something along the lines of, hey, just a quick question. It'll either say, hey Pamela, or hey, just a quick question if it doesn't know their name. I've then got just an introduction sentence for like who I am. I say immediately why I'm contacting them. And I have another opportunity to put a merge field in here. So it's going to be the referring page URL. And I'm not going to have any fallback text because we'll have it for all of them. So it's basically this one, where they're linking from. The person I'm emailing, in this case Pamela, this is going to be Pamela's website, or Pamela's going to work for this company. So she's going to need to know where on her blog, where on her website the article that links out is. Then I say, hey, I saw that you linked to root domain. And in that case, I'm actually going to put the root link URL. So I'm going to say that, hey, I saw this article and I saw that you were linking to rei.com. Now it's quite important that, so I just go here and put root link URL. Again, no fallback because we have all of them. Now it's really important here that you actually put this root rather than the full version. The reason is that it can often get quite confusing for people, believe it or not, who don't really read their email properly or don't really understand necessarily how links work. So I find it's just better to put the short version of it. And that also means that it's not going to be hyperlinked within the email. So they're not likely to click away and go to the competitor's page and get sort of confused a little bit. It's just a little tip that I picked up along the way. I recently put together this very thorough topic guide on, and then this is not actually a merge field in our case. We're going to just write something here, and it's going to be specific to backpacking tips for beginners. So all I need to say here is on backpacking tips for beginners. Naturally, I wanted to ensure every aspect of is accurate and up to date as possible. Good. And then here's basically where we're asking for a link. Now we also, remember, need to put in our own URL. And again, this is not a merge field. All we need to do is copy and paste that here. It's going to be the same for every email that we're sending out for this backpacking tips for beginners article. Remember, we'll create a new Mailshake campaign for each skyscraper article we have. One other thing I like to do, it's just sort of nice, best practice really, is to include an unsubscribe link. Mailshake makes this very easy. You can simply select the drop-down menu here and put unsubscribe URL. It's going to create a little link here, and if you just click on it and then click insert edit, it will allow you to change the text that you want to display. So I'm just going to change that to click here, hit OK, hit cancel, and then I've already have that in there, so I'm just going to remove that. And that is going to put a nice little unsubscribe link just in case anyone wants me to stop emailing them, which does happen occasionally. One other thing I would say is there's this sort of real-time analysis over on the right hand side here, which you'll see. Don't worry too much about the automated suggestions that come up. I find that these tend to be more driven towards people who are writing sales emails, which is not us. So there's too many sentences in a paragraph thing. It's not really applicable for this kind of email. Mailshake do have a cool feature where you can get a free campaign review. I haven't used it in a while, but if you want to try it out, it's free, so it doesn't cost you anything. Give it a go. So that's our initial email. And we actually did some interesting analysis. We found that actually 50% of the links which we built to Health Ambition were replies not from the initial email, but from one of the 2 follow-ups which we tended to do. So that's why it's really important that you add in a couple of follow-ups here. I think 2 follow-ups is a good number. Any more than that and it can sort of get a bit spammy. And these are really easy. You don't have to do anything super complicated here. If you click the add follow-up button, and then what this is going to do is after X days, so in this case 5 is the default option, I recommend you keep that. Unless you receive a reply, then it's going to send this email, what we put in here. So if someone responds to this one, it's going to stop this automation. But if someone doesn't respond to this one, it's going to follow up 5 days later, which is great. Now I have a very simple template here, which I'm going to copy paste in so you can see. And we're just going to customize this bit again and put name. And this time as the fallback text, we're going to put me again. So if we're emailing Pamela, it's going to say, hey Pamela. But if we don't have someone's name, as in the case of this email here, it's going to say, hey, me again. And it's really just a gentle prod to follow up. This is a much shorter, it's really just there to push it to the top of their inbox and remind them that we're wanting a response here. Now we should also add a unsubscribe link to our follow-up email as well. It's always good to have one at the bottom of every email. I'm just going to make that a bit shorter. I'm just going to delete this first part because I've already said it in the previous email. So it says you can just click here if you don't want any more emails. Now we're going to add in one more follow-up, which is another 5 days later. And it's just a simple last time I promise. Asking them if they had a chance to review the proposal. Now, what I really like to add in here, which I found works quite well, is for our 3rd follow-up, and only for our 3rd follow-up, is actually suggest a different kind of collaboration. Maybe they haven't responded to you just because they're not interested and they can't be bothered to respond. However, here I'm also saying I could even write a guest post for your site if you wanted. A guest post is where I create one article and they publish it on their site and it contains a link back to my site. The good thing about guest posting is you can often direct the link to a commercial page instead of just a skyscraper article. Now, any link to our domain is a good link. However, if we can push it towards one of our roundup reviews, say, that's even better. Now, the downside of this is if they accept, then we need to write a whole article just for one link, versus with Skyscraper, we're often getting a lot of links for each article that we write. If you have the time, if you have the capacity, or if you have the budget to pay for content, then this is a really good way to get links as well. We're kind of combining Skyscraper and guest posting in this funnel here, but we've typically found that this really helps to boost conversions on people who otherwise would not have responded at all. And we're just finishing it up by saying, either way, I'll leave it there if I don't hear back, no hard feelings. It kind of creates a sort of little bit of pressure for them to respond. We're kind of taking the moral high ground here. But we're also being polite about it, and we're not trying to make them feel really bad in any way. Once again, I'm just going to copy and paste the same unsubscribe as I had in the previous message, and then hit next. Now it's going to give us an option to actually preview what these emails are actually going to look like with some personal data. So we have the first one here, Pamela, in, and we can see it successfully put her name in there. Her website URL there is put in the short URL of the competitor here, and everything else looks good. Our URL's in there, topic is in there, which we've written. The unsubscribes in all of them. It's done the name again there. This is great. So everything's looking good here. What I would always suggest is to check the fallback options are also working. So if we click through, maybe we can find one that doesn't have a name. Here we go. That seems to work correctly. Hey, just a quick question. So, and let's just check let's just actually check the URL, new footer, I think it is. It's here, all looks good as well. So that is basically good to go, this whole campaign. I'd be comfortable to go ahead and actually send that now. To actually do that, if you just hit the next button at the top here, now here we just want to leave the track opens option checked. So we're going to uncheck the track link clicks. The reason for that is that I find that some people, when they mouse over the link in their email and they see this sort of weird tracking domain appear instead of the URL, they're a bit wary of clicking on it or even replying. And we were having some issues with spam filters and that a while back. So I just recommend to keep it off, basically. All you really need to track with this are opens and replies, which will be done automatically. Make sure you do read these notes. I mean, depending on which country you're in, you may have to obey certain laws, spam laws, that kind of thing. So if you click here, once you've done that and you're okay with that, then hit next. And that's actually about to send it out. We do have one final stop gate before it actually all goes out. All our details are going to be in here, and once we press the start campaign button, that's going to be going out. So go ahead and click that when you're ready, and that is your initial outreach done. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to customize the initial template and the 2 follow-ups so that you have a more effective message going out there and that you get more links at the end of the day.